be traditional in society?
That's a good question. I think it's not that it's hard, it's that there's too many temptations and not enough rewards for women to be traditional. I'll give you an example. You can look at and this kind of will tie into the woke culture, etc. You look at someone like Kim Kardashian, right? If you look at her career, a lot of women try to emulate that nowadays. You know, she had sex on camera, did a bunch of things, pornography, etc. And she was wildly rewarded for it. She's basically a billionaire now. And you know, they have this saying now that nice girls or quiet girls don't get put in history books. So I think nowadays women, you know, from being masculine, thanks to feminism, etc., they want to write a legacy, and the easiest way to write a legacy as a female, unfortunately, is by being promiscuous, being open about your sexuality, doing things that are against traditional grain, shock value, etc. And what women don't realize is that as you write your legacy, you're writing it with the wrong ink. That ink is going to be red, and it's going to leave red on your family for generations to come. Because unfortunately, women that leave a legacy, especially through promiscuity, are remembered for the wrong reasons. So that's what I think it is. I think it's that being traditional as a woman nowadays is almost a thankless job. And women look at it like, why am I going to be traditional and have to rely on a man, right? That honestly, I don't even like that much when I can earn my own money, get my own education, get a higher status guy, and be able to just get it on my own.
Yeah, it's also how you were raised. For example, you're given ideas, you're given a perspective from your parents, from your school, from your friends, from TikTok, Instagram. And that leads to yourself becoming, I want to say, thoughtful. Get it? Thoughtful. So society itself is prone to make you go in a certain direction, and the agenda is full in foot. So
yeah. And then if you look at it like with feminism in general, it's kind of been put in place to, it's done a couple of things. I talk about this in detail in the book. The book isn't just about why women deserve less. I actually go into detail about how feminism kind of created a rift between the two genders. But if we're going to summarize it, women entering the workforce, what they're able to do was double the labor force. When you double the labor force, you're able to pay less wages. When you pay less wages, obviously that's going to create some economic situations. And that's why, you know, we need two income households nowadays to even survive. Right? It used to be a man could take care of a family on one wage, but nowadays the only way you're going to be able to do that is you got to be an extremely high earner in the top 1%. So, and then women having careers, etc. As women make more money, typically they want to get on their level. So there's just, it's kind of like one thing happens and then it creates a chain reaction that might create negative impacts that were unforeseen. So, and I'm sure you know about the detriments of feminism, and you went to school, you kind of bought it.
No, I never bought it.
You never bought it. So you were against feminism even going into college?
Always. I always was like, I've always been a woman. My life's only been easier as a woman. I don't understand what all these women are crying and bitching about. And to your point about the women not really getting a legacy, I would say that women need to understand that you don't need a legacy like a man. Your legacy is your family, and your family that you raise, and your children. That's the legacy that women need to understand is important. You don't need to have a legacy like a man. Women need to stop trying to become men, because they can't become men, and they're only going to fail at it. And when they try to become men, they become OnlyFans whores, sell their bodies online. And guess what? One day you're going to get old, you're going to get wrinkly, you're going to become like an old miserable hag like Chelsea Handler and be childless, husbandless. You eventually will want a husband. You will. And one day you're not gonna be able to have kids, and you're gonna wish that maybe I didn't spend my whole life trying to be a boss babe, and maybe I should have just, done what society tells me not to do and got married and actually found a man. Like, serve your daddy husband and not your corporate boss. And that's how you'll be happy. That's your legacy.
I'm sorry. Can I say one thing?
Agree.
yeah, sure.
I agree.
What would you say to women who can't have babies? They don't have any value?
No.
Such a small minority.
know,
This is
I
the amount of women that's out here in this world. It's a very small minority of women that can't give birth.
But I understand that. But I'm saying she's basically saying that as women, our legacy is to procreate.
Also to serve your husband. Serve your husband. You can adopt. There's many other things.
Okay, but I'm just saying your terminology was have babies. So I'm just saying, how do you value women who can't have babies?
They serve their husbands and raise a family through adoption if they want to do it. I don't think, I used to think I've had ovary problems. I used to think I couldn't get pregnant. And the day I stopped taking birth control, I got pregnant this year on January 6th.
There you go.
Yeah, so it can happen.
Good job.
Thank you. And I'm very excited about that. But if you can't have kids, that's obviously heartbreaking, and doesn't mean that your legacy or you won't have fulfillment in life. Your fulfillment is through serving your husband and you're still a homemaker. Serving your husband, trust me, I've learned serving my husband is a full-time job in itself. And I do online streaming and stuff at home, but he's always said if that ever interferes with my wifely duties, then that's gone.
So that's all you want to be?
Yes, that's number one.
Okay.
I have a question. It's a fact that there's more women on this earth than there are men. So where does that leave if people follow the righteous laws of marriage and you're supposed to be bound to one person? Where does that leave the rest of the women who aren't able to find men, because there isn't enough men for everyone? And let's not also forget that some men are DL.
That
Can-
is
Okay.
true, but you gotta also understand these men are being shared since it's more of us and less of them. So regardless, we always share a nigga, whether you like it or not.
Some people believe in like
Polygamy.
polygamy. I'm not
Some do, yeah.
necessarily saying I'm for it because I'm also a very selfish person, but at the same time, like,
That's not selfish. I wouldn't say wanting to be monogamous is selfish.
no, yeah, but to speaking for like based on history, polygamy was something that was practiced, especially in Africa and all that. So that being said, that is a thing, but what if the goal for some people isn't marriage? Like, that is not end all be all for life.
Well, that's fine.
Girlfriend side bitch.
Yeah, that's not your goal, but I will tell you, as someone that used to say, I've always been right wing, but I was like, I want to focus on my career. I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. I just want to live alone and like live selfishly. I promise you that, especially as a woman, you will find the most fulfillment in finding a man that will settle down with you, protect you, provide for you. And I'm telling you this, I say it in a harsh way online all the time, but it's honestly for your own good. I really do believe that. And I think that society too much is telling women that you don't need this, you don't need a man, focus on your career. Kids are a setback. This is a trap. Men are oppressing you. And no, women, you want to be oppressed by your husband, not a boss. Trust me. He loves and cares about you. Your boss doesn't.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
remembered my
Good
question.
Going back to what you're saying as far as like women not having enough men, what I've come to realize, and I think this is very scary, but most women, especially from all the interviews I've done and this looking at the studies, if a woman reaches a certain level of socioeconomic class and making money, etc., and there's not a man that's compatible to her, she'd prefer to stay single than be saddled to a lower status guy. And which I think sets you up for perpetual sadness, because women derive most of their pleasure from relationships and building bonds with people, and women are social creatures.
Yeah.
So women aren't able to, I guess, tolerate solitude to the same degree that men are, right? Men are more likely to put themselves in solitude, earn money, increase their status, then go back out there. But for a woman, you guys have a finite amount of time to create and cultivate those relationships, especially when it comes to a man. Your best years are between 18 and 24, statistically speaking, to get the best guy. So you do have a deep yearning to find that man. But the problem with feminism is they tell women to suppress that innate need and focus on school and education instead, when in reality, all I would say is that focusing on school and education sets you up for perpetual solitude, because as you earn more money and gain more status, your likelihood of finding the man that you want at that level diminishes with it, because that man might not want what you're prioritizing, school and education, in return. As a matter of fact, as men earn more money and status, they actually want a
someone
woman
lower.
that's more attractive than them. It's actually funny. There was a study that was done, and they found that for every IQ increase for a man, his chances of finding a partner increase significantly. For every IQ point for a woman that goes up, her chances of finding a
lower.
husband drop precipitously. So it goes to show how men prioritize beauty and youth when it comes to mate selection, and women prioritize